This is a car that I had never seen in real life outside of pixelated form up until about 2 weeks ago. It's a car that was never sold in North America, but it was a car that has been burned into my mind
by video games, TV shows, and internet lore that's been brewing since 2005 when it was released.
It is a TVR Sagaris, and only 211 were ever built, but I promise you that's not the only thing that makes this car so special. And I saw it at Cars and Coffee over at Spanish Banks, and I put an Instagram post up, and a lot of you guys were helping me out, so thank you. But yeah, our friend Terrell, photographer, videographer, he's on Instagram, you can follow him. He set this up. So the first thing you'll notice that's a little bit odd is getting into this car. So you can't figure it out. There's no mechanical door latch. There's a button underneath the mirror with an electronic door release, like, I don't know, a C8 Corvette would have, which is so opposite of the rest of this car. The rest of this car is so incredibly hardcore. Oh, that's some torque. All right, so the basics here are this car was based off a TVR T350, which came before it. Same basic idea though, okay? Front engine, rear wheel drive, naturally aspirated 4-liter inline 6 under the hood. So a massive inline 6 to begin with, but this was built with motorsport in mind. And as soon as you begin looking at the spec sheet, it all begins to make sense. The engine is a dry sump setup. It's pushed way back in the engine bay, super close to the firewall. It's got not quite 50-50 weight distribution. It's about 53% over the front axle, 47 over the rear. It's got ITBs, and immediately the instant torque and the feeling of the engine remind me of an E36 M3 or an E46 M3. No ABS, no traction control, no brake booster. It feels like it has power steering, for sure, but everything else that you would expect from a modern sports car that might save you is not here. The shifter feels like it's got, as cliche as it sounds, molasses in it. It's like, it's smooth, but you have to be so intentional with your shifts to make sure it's in the right gear. Oh my. Long gears, incredibly long gears. It's got a really deep and raspy sound. It's like if you drive an E36 M3, like an S52 or an S50, S54, they get a little bit higher pitched at the top end. This does not. This is just torque. It's just flat torque from 2,500 RPM all the way to the top, and it keeps pulling. Aluminum block, aluminum head, dual overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder.
If you must know, that's 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque in a car with a fiberglass body that weighs just 2,400 pounds.
To put it in perspective, this weighs as much as a Lotus Exige 410. And if you take a modern lightweight car that we consider fairly light, a Lotus Emira V6 that weighs 3,200 pounds, you can take out 800 pounds from a Lotus Emira V6 that makes the same 400 horsepower as this, and here we are. You have the 2,400 pound TVR Sagaris. nuts. What a striking looking car though. I don't know if I could call this car beautiful, but it is such an insane car to look at. It is a little bit jarring. I think this car looks just stunning. I've always thought this is the coolest looking car, especially the front end. The rear end, I think somebody summed it up best on a Reddit forum I saw. They said it looked like a Salvia Divinorum trip. If you know what that is, then you know it's somewhat accurate. Who thought side exit exhaust coming out like that at a 90-degree angle was a good idea? This car's also a lot smaller than I would have imagined. And this is what happens when you only see a car in a video game from 20 years ago and you grow up just seeing videos and stuff and you see it in person. This is barely wider than an MX-5. It's a lot closer to S2000 size than it is Viper size. The view out of the hood is staggering. And just styling for styling's sake, despite this being built clearly for the track, we've got a full cage in here. It's all covered in leather. It's like you're trying to put nice upholstery and a designer feel on something that's so rough. Like a Viper, the transmission tunnel is massive. I have no idea why it's so big. I have a feeling it's because this engine, to get the center of gravity just a little bit lower, it's on an angle. I believe it's like a 12 or 13 degree angle. And of course, all of those components are shoved way back, actually further back than the windshield itself. But my feet are off way to the right side, out to the outside of the car. It's taken me a second to get used to, but Felix was not lying. It is incredibly easy to heel toe. 4-inch pedals, just like a 911. So it does, the learning curve is there. The interior is pretty cozy. It's definitely tight in here. 6 feet, you'd probably have a problem, even though that there's a bulge in the roof here to allow maybe for a helmet or a taller individual. But even if you were sitting up higher, the roof line is so short, you probably wouldn't have very good visibility anyways. And as far as interiors go, in TVR land, this is one of the more conservative interiors. If you look at a Cerbera, for example, which is not nearly as rare, the interior of that car is insane. It's ridiculous. It has a lot more bespoke kind of TVR pieces inside of it. It feels like, you know, when you pour, or you see a video of when they pour fluid into an anthill and then it hardens and then you get to see the inside of an anthill. That's what the interior of a TVR Cerbera looks like. I was expecting just like the jankiest interior here. It's not. The amount of cool kind of billet pieces in here just makes me loathe a lot of modern car screens even more. The gauge cluster, it's got the opposing tack and speedo, kind of like an Aston. For speed, they've actually deleted the third digit for the 3-digit number, so it just, instead of saying 100, it just says 10 or 12. So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. These billet buttons, they look so cool. Everything's very clean. And even though this one has about 60,000 kilometers on it, everything's held up fairly well. Yeah, there's some kind of imperfections in the stitching over on that door, but everything's actually put together really nicely. And these billet buttons, they don't have any letters or any words or any hint, any sense of direction as to what they do. Okay, that one does. The headlights, you can turn your headlights and your hazards on. That was probably a regulation of some kind, but everything else, these are for the windows, these are for the doors, and then, yeah, that's about it. So, boom, and then the door pops open. Sideways. This is a sound I was not expecting. I don't want to say it sounds amazing. It's just very angry. It's just a dirty kind of, it's a raspy sound. Cable throttle. It requires just a little bit of pedal effort and the car just wants to jump. It feels very similar to a Viper in a lot of ways, just in the idea of the car in general, right? Big engine relative to the size. You've got the side exit exhausts. That's a bonus. That's very Viper-esque. And then you have no driver aids. Nothing to save you if things go wrong, right? And there are so many stories. We all know somebody who's driven a Viper in conditions that were not optimal and it has ended poorly, right? And even though there were only 211 of these cars, I'm sure if you go into TVR forums or owners groups or whatever, you would find those stories very quickly. But that's part of the charm. That's what makes these cars so desirable. It's got a lot of Lotus in it. And there are actually further similarities now that I think about it. Rover engines. A lot of the older TVRs were powered by either Ford or Rover engines. What was also powered by Rover engines? Well, a lot of older Lotuses. It's almost like a Viper meets an Exige.
Truth is though, I've never driven anything like this before. It's just oozing charm, and that's exactly what the modern car world is missing. Put this on the cool wall today and there would be no debate.
Why, if you work for Kia, have you got a TVR t-shirt on?
Because TVRs are British and they're fast and they're sub-zero.
Everything Kia's on.
One moment it feels like an unforgiving garage-built kit car, and the next it feels like a perfectly polite street car. It's stiff, but the seats are comfortable. The steering rack is quick, but effortless. And I know today was just a quick street drive, but it doesn't feel intimidating, despite my inability to escape flashbacks of this Lotus kit car. Look at it though, you're sitting on the rear axle. I know that's going to present its own challenges and adrenaline spikes out on the track.
In some senses, I do feel like I'm just kind of along for the ride. The one thing I do feel like I have control over completely is the engine and the gearbox and the revs. It feels amazing. All the vibrations are coming through my back. I am definitely just bolted to a machine, and that's what this is. This is not a work of art. Actually, no, it is kind of a work of art, but at the core of it, more importantly, it is just a machine built to do one thing and one thing only, and that's just elicit a emotional response from the driver. That's what it is. That's TVR's entire goal with this.
Hi, my name is Felix. This is a TVR Sagaris. This is probably the third or the fourth in Canada. There was one silver and Bordeaux interior that was in Richmond. However, I don't know where that car has gone to now. Super rare. This is the second TVR that I've brought in from the UK. The first one was actually Peter Wheeler's original car. That was a production number 2. It was their press car, so it traveled all around the world. That car was also in Top Gear, driven by Stick and Richard Hammonds. To find one, it takes a lot of work. You gotta really motivate the seller to be able to want to sell it to you. Yeah. A lot of the owners is not about money. It's you know, really like if you're gonna take care of their car, if you're really a passionate TVR owner.
What were your first impressions? Give me your first 5 minutes driving this car.
It is so weird. The first 5 minutes of driving the car, you don't know how to open the door, you don't know how to roll the windows down because they're just billet buttons. There are no logos on them. Even when I first got the car off the container, it was super difficult for me to navigate around the car because obviously the car sat in the container for a couple months, the battery is drained. Well, where was the jumper cable? Where was the spot for you to plug in the jumps? Couldn't find it. Couldn't find anything on YouTube, couldn't find anything on Google because it's so rare. So after a bunch of digging around, we were able to find that, you know, actually the battery is in the front left corner of the front wheel. You gotta take the wheel off, you gotta take the fender liner off to get to the battery. Did all that, and then how do you open the door? Visibly, there's no door handles on them. So that took me actually 2.5 hours to figure out how to open this door. So there's no manual door handle, so if the battery is dead, you really have to figure it out how to open it. To open the trunk, that took me another 2.5 hours to figure out because there's no button inside to open the trunk lid. There are no visible buttons here. You feel everywhere there's no buttons.
No, it's clean, very clean.
And obviously, you can't find anything on YouTube. But after pressing every bits around, I was able to find that the trunk button is actually here. And then you open it.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
The few things that they decided to actually put some money behind to make it electronic. And,
so innovative back in 2005,
100%.
Right? Yeah.
So strange.
Yeah, so before I got into these TVR stuff, what I read online is pretty negative. Like people were saying, oh, when you floor it, like your visors will just fall off. From my experience with TVRs, I haven't had that. In fact, it's very solid. It's more solid than most cars nowadays. Everything is padded, soft foam and leather, vinyl. The whole car just feels solid.
What would you say is a more scary driving experience? Your Kit Cobra that you own or this?
Definitely the Kit Cobra is more scary experience because it's open top.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're both pretty comparable in terms of fun to drive, excitement.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Felix, for bringing the car out.
No problem.
You want to give people kind of a shout out for what you guys are doing here?
Yeah, so we're here at Wrapworks. We wrap cars, we detail cars. Paint correction is my bread and butter. That's what I do. My passion to make old paint look good again.
Awesome. You guys go follow Felix in the description below. Boom.
If you've made it this far and you're still in the dark, no, you haven't been living under a rock for 20 years. It's because this was the last car TVR ever built. The British manufacturer has teased future models, but nothing has seen the pavement yet. It's more rare than a Bugatti Veyron or a Ferrari F50, but somehow it still lives alone with its cult-like following. If you know, you know.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks, Felix, for the seat time. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Terrell, for helping set this up. We'll be back very soon. Please let me know what you guys think. Definitely a meet your hero moment that was completely worth it. We'll see you guys next time.